All right, Dallas Cowboys postgame show here on Facebook Live, twitch.tv/DFW ticket, Facebook Live, wherever else you can find us. It's Jake Kemp, Donovan Lewis. 27-17, the Saints get out of the Superdome with a win.
The Cowboys win. What are you talking
Saints?
about?
Cowboys get out of the
What game were you watching?
I got this weird headphone situation here, Donovan, that I'm trying to rectify on the fly here. I'm not exactly sure that there are a ton of positives that the Cowboys can take out of this game other than the fact that it is a win because they were playing, I don't even know if I would say a backup quarterback in Taysom Hill for the Saints. They were playing a tight end at quarterback.
No question. You nailed it at halftime. Like, score was 13-7 at halftime, and you just feel like there was no way the Saints could muster up any offense. But if you keep them hanging around, then one big play can get you. But, yeah, he was really bad. And it just kind of tripped me out how Joe and Troy were almost making excuses for him. Because, yeah, his finger may have been hurting because he hit it on Dorrance Armstrong in the first half. But I don't know if that affected what he was doing, man. He's bad throwing the football. And he can run it, and I don't understand why the Saints went away from that. The one possession in the third quarter where he was just going up and down the field, just running the football on Dallas, got the first down, and I think they went 3 straight passing plays.
They did.
They did that to themselves. And even if you know that he's not 100% with his finger, I get it. Simeon's lost 4 straight, and he's not the answer. But you can't tell me he's not a better passer than Taysom Hill.
Man, I mean, his first couple games, speaking of Simeon, he was okay, but last week, Thanksgiving night against the Bills, he was god-awful as well. And I think he's a little banged up himself. But I'm with you, man. I mean, there was that drive there. It was the Saints' 7th drive. It ultimately ended in them kicking a 42-yard field goal. He was just keeper left, keeper middle, keeper right, keeper left.
Not even attempting to drop back and fool him, just running.
And they
had success.
And they were going with a 6th offensive lineman. Probably saw a guy with an O-line jersey in motion more than I've ever seen in my life tonight.
Right.
And then first down, he drops back, misses a wide open receiver down near the goal line, and from there, he's screwed. And it turns into 3 straight pass plays, and the Cowboys are ultimately able to get him off the field. I would say positives you could take from this game. DeMarcus Lawrence definitely was a factor. He didn't play his regular number of snaps, but he was disruptive when he was out there. You have to think that by the time they play next Sunday with a long layoff that he'll be back up to speed. Who knows? You might be getting Gregory back for that game. It'll probably be the following. But tonight was an indication of the fact that when you've got Gregory and Lawrence out there, you can really mess stuff up for the opposition on offense. And I think that applies probably to even teams that aren't playing a non-quarterback under center and are playing with 2 backup tackles, because other than that, it was kind of a fairly uninspired game for Dallas. I mean, Dak had a couple of beautiful throws and a few real head scratchers, just bad misses.
You know what? Dak and Kellen Moore, I thought, and when they were trying to put the game away, and you just drop back on 2nd and 3rd down, you get 5 yards on 1st down. It's 2nd down and 5, and you could take some time off the clock. And then all of a sudden, you just want to go back and throw the football a couple of times. And Dak with 2 really bad decisions. That was the interception where they should have called a timeout because it was just mass confusion on the line of scrimmage. And CD is trying to tell him to hold up. I need to get lined up, and it's going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But he's not where he needs to be as far as in sync wise, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if we can say, man, he's still smarting over the calf injury. I think that's way in the rearview mirror to where that's not affecting him. But he hasn't really been crisp besides in a complete game. Like, he had a really good 4th quarter against the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
And a few really good throws here tonight. One's across the middle of the CD Lamb. I know with 2 in my head were incredible throws. But you need Dak to be the leader and the best player on the field for your offense to go out there and execute like you want them to.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily in the crowd that's thinking they should be hammering the ball, establish the run. There's this unseen effect. I mean, if you can't run the ball and the other team's saying we're not going to let you run the ball, then you can't run the ball. But once you do get down to the situation where they were at the end of the game and you have a toss left to Pollard that picks up 5 yards, at that point, I'm going to run the ball. Now, I'm probably not running it with Zeke there. I'm going to see what Pollard can do with 2 more carries, and I'm going to take another full minute plus off the clock in the process of doing so. And if I can't, if I can't get that first down, I'm punting on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 with a minute to a minute and 20 left, less left on the clock. That was a very tough spot there not a tough spot. It was a poor decision by Kellen Moore. That one was bad. Generally, I agree with the fact that they were just not able to run the ball.
And I'm with you. I have no problems with that. If you can't run the football, and the Saints were really good, they gave up the least amount of yards per rush in the NFL this year. So if you can't establish it, that's fine. But you can do other things as an extension of the run and try to throw quickly and all that. But yeah,
like the play to Lamb.
Sure.
Which counts as a run, but I mean
the touchdown, throw, and even the one where he's the jet sweep where you toss it forward to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's basically a run. It counts as a pass, but it's basically a run. So there are things you can do to try to get around that. And yeah, Dak dropped back 43 times, and they rushed the ball, including the Dak kneel downs 24. If you take those away, they rushed the ball 21 times. So yeah, it's still going to be a little concerning about them not being able to run the football because you had the one big play, well, two big plays, the 33-yarder from CeeDee Lamb and the 58-yarder from Tony Pollard. But other than that, they couldn't get anything running. That's 91 of your 146 yards that you had on the ground tonight.
But think about it. There was another game this year where a team said you're absolutely not running the ball, and it was the opener.
Right.
And in the opener, they found other answers. Now
because Dak was sharp.
That's the point I'm making for sure, is that like in that game, it's like, all right, you want 8-9 in the box. You got Vita Vea. You've got Ndamukong Suh. All right, well, now Dak's going to get the ball in playmakers' hands quickly on the outside and let those guys make plays. They haven't really been able to do that since then, in that particular fashion, partly because for a little stretch after that, they actually were able to run the ball pretty well. The Carolina game, the Chargers game. But they're at a point right now where those guys are back to not really, particularly Zeke, because even when Zeke got a little room tonight, you could tell, and they even made a point of it on the broadcast, he's not right.
No, and I don't understand the fact that you just seem like as I said this on our show, and I don't know if you heard this or agree with it, but they set Dak against Minnesota because they had won, 4 or 5 games in a row? And if you lose that game, that's okay because you're playing really well. All right, now it seems like, well, we can't afford to sit Zeke because we've lost 3 or 4, and we need every single playmaker we have on offense to try to get this offense going. And maybe that's the reason they're not doing it. But you can tell from jump that he's not right.
Yeah, so Zeke ends up tonight
13 of 45.
And early reports on snaps are 37 for him, 25 for Pollard. So it's not crazy out of whack, but it is crazy out of whack the burst you see from both those guys in similar situations, and they're playing behind the same offensive line. That's the thing. This is not like preseason where you're trying to judge what this guy can do behind these blockers and these behind these. No, it's the same play calls. It's the same offensive line, and Pollard just has a lot more juice for you there. And then Dak just hasn't been sharp, and Cooper was clearly not full strength tonight. They played him about 20 or so snaps in the game. He did have a couple of pretty effective plays. He went over the middle early to set something up for him, but that's the next step, right? The next step is you're hoping that the next time you take the field when it's December 12th at Washington, Cooper's fully healthy. But who knows though, honestly, dude. I had COVID. It sucked. I didn't feel like I could run properly for 3 or 4 months. World-class athlete, probably going to get over it a lot quicker. But I feel like it messed with Zeke for a significant portion of last season.
I do too. And, it's going to take some time for him to get back to where he needs to be. But it is good. And I think you said this while we were watching the game. Okay, 19 feels like he's a decoy.
Yeah.
Because they just need him out there. And if he's out there, then he's always going to be a threat because you have no idea, how he's feeling or whatever. So it's almost like Dak at times will just feel uncomfortable. Will feel comfortable when he has all of his guys out there, even if they're not at 100%. And maybe that's why Zeke is out there playing at 60%, what he is right now. I don't know. But I almost feel like they're trying to do some things to try to snap Dak out of whatever he's in. And I don't know if that felt like that happened tonight. Like, this is not the guy that we saw in the first 5-6 weeks of the season, who we thought was in the MVP race.
No, it is definitely not. And I think the other way to tell that is not that he was necessarily taking off a lot through that first portion of the season, but I do feel like you could tell that he was, whenever he got outside the pocket, it felt like there was a chance he might run. You know, he would be approaching the line of scrimmage by the time it was time to get rid of the ball. He's not playing with any of that over the last month or so.
Not even thinking about it.
Not even thinking about it. And it's easy on replays to be like, man, I don't know, maybe he could have run for that. But it comes up enough, right? There are 3 or 4 times a game where you're like, man, are you sure you couldn't have taken off right there?
Yeah.
And in years past, he either would have or he would have made an attempt to bait the defender and then make a throw. He's not doing any of that now. The defenders are just crashing on him, and he's either getting rid of the ball or he's getting sacked or he's getting hit. So, I mean, I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem that he's not able to be much of a run threat. And I don't even mean rushing attempts. I just mean making guys respect his run threat whenever he's outside the pocket. And that hasn't lived here for a few weeks now, and I think it shows up. And again, the Saints defense is very good. They're without one of their starting defensive ends tonight. But you were also in this game because Taysom Hill kept giving you the ball. I mean,
they kept running Taysom Hill out at quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's why. And it didn't feel good in the second half, especially when the Cowboys get the ball out of halftime and just straight go 3 and out.
2 straight drives.
Yeah. And then the Saints kick the field goal where Taysom Hill is using his feet, and you think they uncover something. And you're thinking, if they continue to do that, then this may give the Cowboys defense, if they don't adjust, some issues. And then New Orleans just will stop doing it. Now, I will say that one call of the blindside block knocked them off their game plan big time, because that was an 11-yard reception for a first down. They look like they may be rolling, and then they get the Cowboys get the benefit of a blindside block, and there is not a chance in heck that was a blindside block.
No, it was terrible, and
that's just a fullback realizing there's a free rusher going to his quarterback, and he's going to make a play so he won't get smashed.
And that was a pretty good play, the one that got nullified by Taysom Hill. I mean, there weren't a ton of them, but they beat Dallas blitzed. He beat it. He found somebody over the middle on a little play action comeback, 11 yards. My God, this kid needs some he's 31. This guy needs some confidence. He hit a throw, and next thing you know, you're like, really? Like, they're calling that? That was a terrible call. It killed that drive, and that was honestly pretty much the end of the game, because Dallas got him off the field 3 plays later.
Yeah,
and 3 plays after that, Pollard goes 58 to the house on the toss.
And then they get punt, interception for a touchdown, and then they get the last touchdown where no one seemed interested in tackling Harris. So that was ball game for those guys. They couldn't get it together. I think that totally wiped Sean Payton off of what he wanted to do. He's the play caller. He was so incensed with the referees and trying to stay on them and yell at them and fuss at them that I just think he was just like, I don't know. He was just trying to make his point that was a bad call, and I think it affected the Saints and their offense.
And if it wasn't over then, I mean, the blindside block followed by a back-breaking touchdown by Pollard, which I'd love to look at that play a couple times tonight and tomorrow, because that was I would almost call it like a Tim Hardaway 3. It was a no, yes, because when he caught that ball, that pitch deep.
Yeah,
and somebody got upfield, and I'm like, they're about to blow him up.
And it was Malik Hooker with just a little bit of a push. Yeah. Just the slightest. It wasn't a good block. Just the slightest of, hey, push him out the way.
And it was to the gap.
Yeah, and I don't know what the safety. I don't know what the safety was thinking.
He was
worried about the cutback.
He was in middle ground, right? He didn't commit either way. He was doing I'm not committing to force him out of bounds and give up the cutback. I'm also not really doing much to prevent the cutback. And again, I think Troy was right. He vastly underestimated Pollard's speed right there.
Sure, but it's one of those to where even if you
just take the angle and get
give him the cutback, then maybe you may give him a little more, slow him down just a little bit to give your teammates a little chance to maybe come get him. But yeah, I'm just watching this play now, and it's Malik Hooker with the slightest of blocks to. Yeah, you're right. It is the no. He barely missed him on that, and then once the other tackle was missed around the 50. It was the safety number 43 just saying, all right, you know what? I'm not going to get the cutback. You go.
Yeah. Yeah, so at that point, then the next possession, when the Saints do get the ball back, they had one really, really nice play where they motioned against the direction that Hill was carrying. Like they motioned away from the right to the left, run Hill short side, they pick up. They get themselves down to a 3rd and 2, and Micah ended the game.
Yeah.
They got themselves down to a 3rd and 2. They had an idea for like a short, flat, I can't remember if it's tight end or fullback, little flat, route out to the flat. And Micah's just too fast for that. The idea there, because we see Dak do this all the time, the idea there is you can catch that defender in no man's land, right? Because as he starts to get to the quarterback's just going to dump it over his head, and the linebacker can't cover flat. Or he's going to go get the quarterback and get beat, whatever. In that case, Micah just closes so fast, and he's so long that Hill's like, there's nothing I can do with this ball. And I think, they said it on the broadcast again, if they get an incomplete there, they're probably going for it.
Yeah, I think so.
It's 4th and 2. They're going for it. But now it's 4th and 15, and the game is over.
Or if you even wonder, will they go for 3 to try to cut it to a 1-score game and go?
Sure.
I don't know. Either one. But you're right. They're going to do something there to try to get a points play on 4th down. But you're right. Micah basically ended the game right there with that sack. And then it was them having to throw the football, and that's just feeding right into what the Cowboys want to do with Taysom Hill, so he can't use his legs. And the one throw, the one that Diggs got, Troy kept saying it was a really good play by Diggs, and that was a terrible throw.
Yeah.
It was severely underthrown to where he didn't have to make that spectacular of a play to pick it. He just had to back up. It was right there. And the one that Watkins intercepted, that was right in his stinking face.
That felt like a drill.
Right. It looked like training camp.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. That's exactly what it looked like.
Like a drill where there's no offensive line there, and you're trying to train guys to all right, if the ball's here, here's what we're going to do with it. Here's how we're going to block towards the end zone. I mean, you love a fat guy touchdown, a big man touchdown, but that's about the easiest one you're ever going to see. There was no real leap necessarily.
No, he just put his hands up, and it was right there.
Right into his hands.
I'll tell you what, though, Carlos Watkins has about 29 yards worth of gas in his tank. Because if he had to go any further, that was going to be it. He was going to have to pitch that thing back or fall down. That was church.
I couldn't tell, because when he got to the goal line, Hill was making a real hand wave token effort at it. And Watkins went for a stiff arm, and I couldn't tell if he decided – it's probably a bad look for me to just swat the S out of this quarterback in the head, or if he just got so tired that lifting his arm by the time he had run 29 yards and was just like, oh, man, I don't know. I'm going to save the rest of this for the celebration.
I know, right?
So, as far as Mike McCarthy being out tonight, I don't know. I do wonder how that, Joe Lecce brought this up during the game when we were watching. I do wonder, I think it's human nature that guys like Kellen Moore, maybe Dan Quinn, it has to affect you in some way knowing that your boss is not directly listening to the call. I know you're going to have to deal with it or talk about it on Saturday when they go in, tomorrow when they go in. But I also think, there's no one there to listen to you in that moment. And we've seen the Cowboys not only get away from the run, which again is something that I'm not a huge fan of that term. But I don't know that it's that different tonight than it has been with McCarthy there with Kellen Moore. But people are definitely going to wonder about that. People are going to wonder, if McCarthy was out there, would he have said to Kellen Moore, hey,
run it.
Here's where we're parking it.
It's almost, you wonder if it's almost like the substitute teacher.
Yeah.
And the teacher's away. That's why I was surprised that we didn't see anything stupid from Bones there in the game, because it's, Kellen Moore has the offense, Dan Quinn has the defense, and he has the special teams. The Joe Clark with the bat, Morgan Freeman's character, he's out. He's not there anymore to see what they were going to do. So do you think it affected them in any way as far as him being out? I still feel that the outcome would have been the same whether McCarthy was there or not. But you may have would have had the, hey, let's just run the football and don't worry about it, especially on that one where they got the 5 yards on first down and they threw second and third down.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I possibly – I'm just saying they've been a team that's done that several times throughout the year. You know what I mean? And that's been something that people have complained about throughout the years, that it doesn't matter if the run is necessarily working, just keep going to it. And I haven't agreed necessarily with all those opinions, but I agree with the one tonight on that drive. I mean, dude, they went for a 4th down in the first quarter. You know what they've done in almost every single game when McCarthy's been coaching?
Go for it on 4th down in the first quarter.
Yeah. I mean, that they've done it in 10 of 12 games now.
Question right there.
Yeah. So how different was it? I'm not really sure.
Sure.
You know, I think it's kind of cool having Dan Quinn on the sideline just because I think this guy's a firecracker. But he prefers to be in the booth, you know? He wouldn't be up there if he wasn't cool with being up there. I mean, the dude's been a head coach for several years. I seriously doubt that anybody's telling him, like, hey, you got to coach from the booth.
Is there a head coach this year that's going to wear their hat backwards in a game? Or is he going to be the only one?
Yeah, because Vrabel doesn't wear a hat. That would be my only other.
I think it's going to be the only head coach this year that wears his hat backwards.
Saleh doesn't wear a hat. He seems like he'd be a backward hat guy.
Right. The other coaches are too pretty, the young ones.
Well, Dan Campbell.
Okay. Campbell may.
He may.
Yeah.
If they are in a position, like if it's walk-off field goal for win one, he may
turn it around and get lucky. Flip
the rally around. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much it really matters. We talked about this in the pregame show for one game for a head coach.
Sure.
You know, it's really between games where head coaches matter. I thought not having their offensive line coach and their assistant offensive line coach would matter quite a bit, and I don't think the offensive line was particularly good tonight. You know, we'll have to see the numbers on pressures by Dak, but I know they weren't generating just a whole lot of running lanes for Zeke or Pollard. So, yes, Zeke looks banged up, but there's not just a ton there before contact right now either.
No, I thought they got better as the game went on, especially in pass protection. I just didn't think Dak was very sharp.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's going to have to get fixed. He's going to have to start playing better if they're going to win this division. And I think we've all resigned to the fact that that's going to happen. They're at 8 wins. I don't know if there's going to be another team in the NFC that's going to get to 8 wins. Philadelphia may have a shot.
The NFC East, yeah.
What did I say?
Just NFC.
Oh, yeah, NFC East, no doubt. Yeah, to get to 8 wins. So, especially with them having to play the other guys, they're going to get 1 or 2 of those games. So, you'll see that. But if they're going to try to advance and play a little bit better, Dak's going to have to be better. That's no question about it.
Yeah, and again, they're in this weird situation now where, I mean, I'm to believe that if Terrence Steele didn't have COVID, he would be starting right now. He would have started this game, right? So what happens when he's back? That's a weird situation for an offensive line to be in for a team that's a playoff team, a team that thinks they have a chance at contending, going to week 14. We have no idea who's going to start at right tackle next week. Like, did Lyle do enough in this game plus the 3 snaps he played last week?
Right.
I don't know.
That is weird. You're right.
The way they're doing it is very, very odd, especially with a head coach that's talked nonstop about continuity. And I think he's right about that. I think, that's very, very important. It was something, he valued it in his time in Green Bay. But I don't know. I have no idea who's going to be on their offensive line next week.
That is not what winning teams will do. That's something a losing team will try to plug and play, and you don't know what's going on week after week. You would think that they would have this figured out and settled in to say, all right, you know what? This is it. This is your job. Don't have to worry about looking behind your back. This is yours. And I wonder if they've said that to Terrence Steele. I don't know. But I wonder, we've talked about this when all the appeal thing happened with Lyle Collins. Did he just kind of do the dogs rubbing his butt across the floor with the organization? Are they really not happy with him right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they would prefer to go with Steele at this point because then they have a way to get out of Lyle after his suspension because it voided his injury guarantee. So, I would think. I mean, I guess I could see it either way. The upside of Lyle is obviously a better player, but he hasn't really been that good when he's played. He's been in and out of the lineup, obviously for suspensions, last year for injury. It's a weird situation. It's just a weird situation. And then tonight, when they went to the big package, they didn't put Connor Williams out there like they would Connor McGovern. They went with both tight ends. And, it was something that early in the season, I don't know that you don't make the switch at guard because of 7 plays a game, but it was something that early in the season they could go to, and it was a damn hammer. I went through and looked at all those plays at the beginning of the year when they were running the ball really well. They were up to like 5, 6, 7 plays a game where Connor McGovern would come on the field, line up in the backfield with a tight end, and they were hammering people. Those were first downs and touchdowns. They would run it near the goal line. They would run it in short yardage. Well, that's really not an option anymore because they don't want to do it with Connor Williams for whatever reason. And having Blake Jarwin, or no, it wasn't Blake Jarwin, it was McEwen and Sprinkles back there. That ain't the same as having one of your big tight ends and Connor McGovern back there. And that's basically just not a part of their offense anymore. So when you talk about how the run game has suffered, that's a small part, but it is a part.
The turnover chain is back in Dallas. You play Taysom Hill, you're going to get opportunities to get turnovers.
I was surprised it took as long as it did.
Oh, me too. That one before halftime, when the Saints was driving, the one by Curse, that was huge. Not only was it pretty, it was huge because you just don't know what they're going to do. The Cowboys defense may hold them to a field goal. I don't know. But for them to attempt to drive down the field, or they are driving down the field, only down 10-7 with a chance to take the lead before halftime. Yeah, would they have left the Cowboys enough time to go down and score? Who knows? But it's the whole hang-around theory. And they just had those boys hang around for way too long for what they were trying. That is such a pretty interception.
Yeah, so we're looking at the Curse pick right now, and it's a very, very nice play, which I'm glad he got to be a part of after they got boned last week on the NBA save play. It was awesome and got nullified. But I was watching this play from the start because typically what I'm doing now on defense is I'm looking to see where Mike is lined up.
Sure.
I want to see where prime time, showtime on this play is going to be, where the action is. They try to run him with the wheel route. He's so fast that he catches up to this, and it's basically like a stop and go. He catches up to it and defends that pass.
That's Diggs' closing speed right there because he's beaten.
He's beaten down the sideline by a slot receiver.
Oh, that was a nice route too.
And closes on being beat, gets his hands up to the ball, and is able to make it to where Curse can make a play on that. Not to take anything away from Curse on that play, but that play does not happen with 95% of the linebackers in the league in coverage there. Like, I think I even saw people saying it's a drop. I'm like, that's not necessarily a drop, man, like by the receiver. That's Parsons catching up with you and putting his long-ass frame right in the middle of your catch radius and getting the ball, dislodged to where Curse can make a play.
And you know what else that is? That's a late throw by a quarterback who's not very good.
Yeah, if he put that on him out of the break.
He held it way too long. That's one of those to where he's going to make that move upfield. You throw it right then and there and drop it in between the linebacker and the safety. Held it too long. And Michael Parsons has the catch-up speed to defend it, and then Curse makes a beautiful, beautiful play on the sideline to get that pick.
Because most of his wow plays this year haven't been in coverage. He's just kind of been like there.
Right.
Like you haven't necessarily noticed him getting beat a lot, but that was really kind of what we were hoping Jabril Cox would be, before he got hurt out of that draft class as far as, the linebackers go. And that one right there – that showed that Parsons is more than just pin his ears back and throttle through somebody and get to the quarterback. And as much as we're ripping on Taysom Hill, they've done that guy no favors, man, by asking him to become a quarterback in the offseason.
Right.
He doesn't get the job. Now they want to work him back in as a tight end. It just doesn't work that way. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world. You need to be fully locked in.
And
on that job.
Hand him a contract that seems a little weird. Like,
I would feel bad for him if it weren't for the $21.5 million guaranteed to basically do nothing.
Right. Just to not try to screw things up. But then you do want to try to put him in a position to where he can excel and do what he's best at. And it felt like in the third quarter they figured it out.
Yeah.
And then just said, nope, can't do it. That's the one thing I didn't understand. It looks 27-10, and they score a late touchdown like the Cowboys just had this game in hand. New Orleans can kick themselves a little bit, I thought, for just kind of not playing the game plan to where they can put Hill in the best situation to try to take advantage of Dallas's defense.
Well, the problem is that unlike with, let's say, even if you have Kamara and Ingram, or you've got Zeke and Pollard, or you've got any of these two-back tandems, when he becomes your offense, it's almost like he can't get a breather, because they ran him. There was at least 3 in a row. I think it might have been 4 out of 5. They ran him on keepers, and
that's when he got the first down, and then they threw 3 straight times.
Yeah. So it's like how many? I'm not really sure how many times a quarterback can run in a row. I've never really seen it before, and so I was almost like this. This is why I think, as screwed as their season is right now, as the Saints have lost 5 straight, I think what they should have done was played Simeon and still given Hill 15 snaps a game like they did before. Because if my memory serves me correct, only one of the games Simeon played in, Hill was available. So I would have liked to have seen if they could have played Simeon as a normal drop-back passer, but also give him the complementary piece and the weapon of Hill, because now once Hill is out there and he's your main rushing attack as an offense, you don't have a whole lot else he can do. I don't think you can run him 10 times in a row.
No, you probably can.
Maybe your play is just a couple of these times you're just going to hand the ball to Mark Ingram and get a breather. Maybe. But I'm with you. I feel like if they would have stuck with that, there were a couple more explosive runs in there.
I'm shocked Simeon didn't come in when he hurt himself. Like, I really am. Like you said, he may not be 100%, and if he was their best chance to win that game, then they are really, really hurting at the quarterback position. You see Jameis Winston kind of sitting back saying, okay, all right, because what does his deal look like? Didn't he signed a 1-year deal, right?
I think so, yeah. And he was playing fine.
Yeah, they're 5-2. They're winning games. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, 1 year, $5.5 million. Yeah, I think that's the case. I think it was 1 year, 5.5. Now, Taysom Hill might have had the play of the night. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a dude that size get a clean hurdle on someone in the open field, the middle of the field, no less, and keep going.
Oh, Ron Kazoo. And he kind of braced himself.
Yeah.
To saying, okay, I'm going to get pounded.
I got to go low on this dude.
And he didn't. Right. Yeah, that was the play of the night. Well, we know that because they replayed it like 5 or 6 different times because the only play that he was going to make. All right, I'm trying to get the phone number here. Let's see. 972-708-4313.
I don't know if you really have to do that.
It's right there.
It's like, yeah.
I know, but
you're watching.
But I still want to.
Over there.
Oh, right there?
Donovan's watching us right now, and it's making me super uncomfortable.
I wanted to get the phone number. That's what I wanted to do.
You just want people telling you how nice you look.
Now, you want me to take this off so I can kind of look like you?
I've been here for 13 hours right now. I don't want to hear a word. 13. You're over here coming in nice clothes on and cologne or something.
I don't have on cologne.
Oh, wow.
I told you I could.
Now he's just, this is ridiculous.
I want to dress like you. I don't want you to feel alone in your
now he's just
white
stunting
tee.
on me.
Let me pull it down so I won't show my muscles. All right, do we have phone
jerk.
calls, Joe? What are we doing here? Oh, all right, Joe's
Oh, okay. He says lining them up, keep talking. Yeah, the good news is they've got 5 games right now. They've got 5 games left. They've got a long layoff before they have to play again at Washington. Relatively easy schedule on the way in. Of course, it is 4 out of 5 divisional.
Yeah.
Those can always be tough, but none of those teams are all that competitive. You've got some get-right time here. You've got some get-right time for Cooper to get his wind, to figure out whatever it is you want to do on the offensive line, to get to get Lawrence back up to speed, to get Randy Gregory
a running game going.
Yeah, and I think that
to get Dak back in line to where he was at the beginning of the year. I think that's the one that I don't want to say maybe overlooked because of the victory, but he needs to I don't know what the deal is with Dak, and I'm a little concerned because the sample size is getting bigger and bigger of him not being the crisp quarterback that we saw the first few weeks of the season. And it seemed like once he had the calf injury, missed the game, since he's come back, it's been some really good throws in there, don't get me wrong, but just not a complete game.
Well, if you recall, the first game back that he played after the calf injury, and I got laughed at a little bit for this, but one of the brightest defensive minds in the game, one of the most respected defensive coaches of the last 3 decades of NFL football, walked out to his podium after his Denver Broncos beat the Cowboys and said, teams just haven't defended this Dallas offense correctly. And everybody said, oh, the guy's just full of hot air, gusto. He's fired up because his team just had a pretty emotional win after they traded Von Miller. And since then, they've really struggled on offense, and particularly on the ground. Well, really, I would say they've just struggled on offense. They've had some garbage yards in there. They beat the brakes off the Falcons, but other than that, they haven't really been a consistently consistently a top 10 type offense. So I'm not saying every team since Denver is defending them exactly like Denver has, but obviously some level of a book got out there. And then you add in the fact that for at least the 2 games prior to this one, you're without your top 2 receivers. This one, you're without probably 60% of one of your receivers. Your running back's banged up. Your offensive line has musical chairs right now. There's really no spot on this team that could not use a get-right December, because you're hoping you get Gallimore back. You're going to get Hill back. You're going to get Gregory back. Secondary-wise, I mean, this is pretty much probably what you're going to get.
Right.
But every unit on the offense you can look at and say, man, I hope a few weeks from now you guys are in much better shape than you were in this one and for the past couple games before this. On the ticket. Well, really on the internet.
Yeah, on the internet.
Yeah.
Jake's going to go shirtless before this thing is over with.
Nah. I ate a lot. I didn't bring the copy in here, but DesperadosRestaurant.com, that's your spot. Get you some catering. They got 2 locations. They got one in Dallas. They got one in Garland. I ate a lot tonight, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I was here for pre and post game, so you know what time it was.
26 of 40 for 238 yards for Dak. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked once. And he's just –
Man, I'm more looking at that 6 yards average completion.
Right,
I mean, how many times did he really push the ball down the field?
I remember there was one time where he dropped back and he wanted to, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He got the coverage downfield. And then the one I know toward the end of the first half, they tried to push something in the end zone. It wasn't deep, but it was at the, 22, 23-yard line where he just dumped it out because they only had 10 seconds left. He was trying to get the ball into the end zone across the middle, but he couldn't.
That was a smart play.
And you know what? Yeah. I was just about to say, he's not forcing it. He forced the one to CeeDee Lamb that got intercepted. That had no chance. But sometimes you have those quarterbacks and they can get impatient because they want to push the pill. And they want to throw deep, and they want to throw it down the middle, and that's what was plaguing Patrick Mahomes early in the season, and he didn't look like himself. So I will give credit for Dak not forcing it when he really wants to try to – you can tell he's trying to unlock something also and trying to get back into a groove and into rhythm. But the way they're playing, he did make a couple of smart decisions besides the interception. All right, let's go to the phones, man. Let's go to Jason in Shreveport. Hello, Jason. You're on the Cowboys postgame show on Twitter. Not Twitter. Why do I keep saying Twitter? Twitch, Facebook, YouTube.
Want some water?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't matter. Hey, what you think about Dak on that first drive of the game? Like, he was kind of hesitant to run that ball, and I just think if he runs that ball a little bit more, maybe the passing game will open up. And is there any way we can keep all these 3 wide receivers after next year?
Thank you for your call. We can go back to that first drive. There was a rollout. The throw to Lamb was broken up. There was Zeke for no gain, and then they went deep middle to Brown, broken up. Lamb was doubled. They showed on the replay there. I'd have to go back and look at it again, but in general, I don't feel like the rollouts are all that respected right now. Like, I feel like the defender just feels like, I'm just going to sag back on the guy that I know you're looking for here and see if you don't want to throw it. You don't want to run it. I know you're just going to throw it. I can cover him.
And I wonder if that's him needing to take another hit to feel more comfortable. It felt like early on he wanted to let everybody know that he wasn't scared to run. And we saw it a little bit more. But now it's just not even a part of it. It's not even a thought in his head. He would rather just dump the football out of bounds than run the football. And I feel that is a little concerning. That was a huge part of what made him who he was. The threat of him using his legs makes him, I think, a better quarterback. And if he's a little hesitant to use that, then that takes a valuable weapon away from the Cowboys offense.
And then as far as keeping all 3 wide receivers, that is almost impossible, right? I mean, it depends. They've got they have several decisions to make. They've got a tight end that's been he's been pretty good despite this little recent downturn here.
Oh, when all the weapons are there, it seems like he's not having any attention, so he gets open. So who leads him in receptions today? It probably was Lamb, right?
Well, I think it was Lamb because he gets to add in like 3 catches that were
That's right. He had 7 receptions, and Schultz had 5. I think Schultz is a better player when all those weapons are out there.
No doubt.
I don't think Gallup is going to get as paid as everyone thinks. He's a good receiver, but I still don't know if they want to add that on to the receiving core as far as, because you still have CeeDee Lamb on his rookie contract, which helps. But Amari at $20 million. And what do you think Gallup is going to get on the open market? He's a good player. I just don't know if the injury hurt him. In the one game, I said, well, he was the number 1 receiver in that one game, and he went over 100. But all those receptions were pretty late in the fourth quarter when they started clicking.
I'd have to pull up the comps here, but I've thought it would be like in the 10 range.
10 a year, huh?
You don't think so?
I think it's going to be less than that. And I think if it's less than that, then I think they could keep him at that number.
Let's see here. Like Sterling Shepard got like 10 for 40. Or
you go to
4 for 40.
Yeah, you go to Spot Track and they have the market value. And hey, I'm wrong. It says $11.6 million as an average annual salary would be his market value.
As like a projection.
Yeah, 4 for 46.
I mean, then you get into the conversation of, would you rather, if you could only keep, like if you've got that much money available, would you rather continue to pay Amari 20, or if you could keep Gallup and Schultz, or if it might mean, Gregory's at some point a part of this conversation.
Sure.
Which is also complicated by the fact that you've seen that Micah can be a reliable pass rusher opposite DeMarcus Lawrence, who's not going anywhere. But these are conversations for a later day, man. They got a good team despite all this. They got 5 games left. They're going to win their division, and they have a chance to make some noise in the playoffs if things break their way. So I don't want to talk about who they're losing yet.
And this is Jerry Jones, who really wants to keep these offensive weapons around. You have to keep that put that in your butt and sit on it.
I said I didn't want to talk about it. I'm not going to sit on it, like in the butt or not. I also think Jerry loves Randy Gregory. Otherwise, he would not have provided him with basically team-sponsored therapy for the past 5 years. Right. So that's going to be a tough one to let go as well.
Dallas. Dallas. You're on the postgame show.
Hey, Dallas.
Stars postgame?
Is this what?
Is this Stars postgame?
Yeah, so it's 6 straight. What is it? 7 out of 8. Big goal for Robertson tonight.
Hit a goal.
What? 2 goals? Wow, geez, it's big news, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
I called very briefly just to make fun of Kellen Moore. Now, I will obviously throw this opinion out if they win out and make a deep playoff run, but at the moment, his play calling regression is startling, and given the fact that Dan Quinn is going to get all the love in off-season hiring, I just don't see a universe in which Kellen Moore is employed by another team next year, absent, again, like him just, creating this just mayhem of amazing play calling that takes us to the Super Bowl. I think the regression is just going to show people that he's not ready for the big pants just yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point, because if you're like the true master, then you have answers for their answers to your answers. And they haven't necessarily got to that point yet. Now, it's a little bit tough to tease out, how much of the regression is Kellen Moore when their quarterback got hurt, missed a game, definitely hasn't looked right since then.
Right.
You're without a couple wide receivers. You're playing musical chairs on your offensive line. Your
but
defense
it's
stopped getting
unnecessary
turnovers.
musical chairs, though.
Yeah,
and
but I don't think he has a ton of say in that, honestly. I don't think the offensive coordinator is saying, hey, we're going to run these 2 offensive linemen out here for this possession and then these other ones back out here. Dude, right now, Kellen Moore has no say in who's starting at right tackle. That ain't happening. Kellen Moore's calling plays. Jerry has a lot more say in who's playing right tackle. Steven has a lot more say in who's playing right tackle than than Kellen Moore does. I don't know, man.
I may think it's a head coach thing, but
Yeah, the head coach.
yeah,
I'm saying
but
outside
I
of the head
still would
coach, I'd
feel
put
that-
Jerry and Steven above Kellen Moore.
You wouldn't think that if Kellen Moore went to the head coach and said, "Look, dude, I mean, it just kind of feels weird. Why are we doing this?" You don't think like he'll question anything that's going on with him?
He may have said that, but I don't know how much it matters, you know? But I guess my point, too, is just while we're all like, man, this is weird. Kellen Moore definitely doesn't look like he's got the same, you know, juice that he had the first 6-7 weeks of the season. There's a lot of other stuff going on. So I don't know about you, but I find it hard to figure out, like, analytically, like, all right, what is their worst issue right now? Because it's really all below average relative to the standard they set earlier in the year. Play calling, run blocking, pass blocking, quarterback accuracy,
and I feel
quarterback health.
Yeah, and I feel that the offensive line is probably the one that's regressed the most because they played so well early on, and it felt like it was the heartbeat of this entire team. And now, while we can say Zeke is not 100% and he's not, Tony Pollard is, and besides that long run, they couldn't get anything going in the running game today. Nothing. They can't run block for anything. So that has been going on not just this week and last week and last game before that. It's been about 5 games where they haven't done anything in the run game. So when you start looking at parts of this team that were good early and that's regressed, it's this run block. And does it have anything to do with the offensive line coaches being out and sick and all that stuff? I don't know. But man, they've got to figure that out in a hurry. Joe, Connecticut. You believe that, huh?
Yeah, I'm here in New Haven. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
That's a made-up place.
New Haven?
New Haven.
No, that's
New
not
Haven,
made up.
Connecticut.
Connecticut. That's true.
All right,
that's
dude.
right.
All right.
What?
Nah, man,
Look
I'm
it
here.
up.
I mean,
What? Hang on, Joe. Hang on, Joe. I'm not gonna hang
Oh,
up
you guys
on
are going to look it up on the internet?
No,
I'm a long-time P1. It's where
All right.
Yale is.
you don't know New Haven, Connecticut?
Yeah,
You've
dude,
been
look
working
it
with
up.
Dan too long.
That's where Yale is.
New
man. Come on
Haven.
now.
You
Hey,
know-
I live in Old Haven. I'm kidding, Joe. I'm excited to hear your Cowboys point. What's up?
This kind of hurts me, but anyway, there are a lot of things that were missing from tonight's game, including various coaches and various players. But the main thing that I appreciated that was missing from tonight were all the damn flags. I thought it was a really fun game to watch because we didn't really commit all that many penalties. So that was my main takeaway for tonight, and I'll hang up and listen from the actual New Haven, Connecticut.
Thank
Okay,
you,
man.
Joe.
Yeah.
5 penalties for 35 yards for Dallas. 7 for 59 for the Saints.
Yeah, and only 2 first down penalties. Penalties that resulted in first downs. 2 for Dallas, 0 for the Saints, which
Right.
last week it felt like every single one of them was a third down that ended up converting to a first down. And I thought it was interesting. I wish I would have said this on the pregame show. Anthony Brown was going to see a double move early.
Yeah.
Like they made sure
Right.
very early in the game, they're like, all right, where's this dude's head at right now? Where's your psyche? We're going to throw – and I honestly thought that could have been flagged. Like it wasn't obvious. It was probably a 70% no, 30% yes. And maybe I was also just broken by last week. But I'm like, dude, the second I see somebody plant and go upfield on 30, I'm like, they're throwing that flag.
Uh-oh.
They're throwing that flag. And they didn't. And there were a couple other that I thought that they might not call. It felt like an entire makeup call of a game.
Like they said
The whole game
Yeah,
was
everyone just pointed out about
Yeah.
the flags in that
Hey,
game
man.
that they just made sure not to do that one, huh? So they were 2 of 13 on third down, followed by a 3 of 13 against the Raiders. So they're
Dallas?
5 of their last 26
Yeah, and they picked up,
on
like I
third
said,
down.
2 tonight by penalty, which I think those should be added in. It would have made the Raiders last week look a lot better.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's not. And this
And
is
then 5 of 15 against Kansas City. So this has been an issue for a few weeks here. Third down efficiency.
It's definitely been an issue. I think Amari's a huge part of that because in 2 of the games you just mentioned he wasn't there, and in this one he was barely there. But I think the other thing, and this is where it gets tricky on what Joe and Troy were so upset about on the broadcast, I just don't love the idea that we're just going to run the ball on first down. They're running the ball on first down a lot right now, a lot more than they were at the start of the season, and it's not working.
Right.
And so if it's not working, ideally I would say I'd prefer to see them, get their playmakers on the outside involved on first down more. Problem is, I'm not totally sure I trust them to do that right now, down in, down out, or drive in, drive out. So there's not a lot of great answers right now other than playing inferior opponents while you try to get your stuff together.
But until this running game gets going, that's what you're going to hear from a ton of people talking about this team. Like, I'm right there with you. If you keep zipping up your junk in the zip of your pants, you're going to move it to zip it up the next time. I didn't know where I was going. I'm sorry.
No, but I still get it, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You get what I was saying. I just didn't deliver it.
Yeah.
I did not convert on that third down.
Well, no, but
I went for it on fourth.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It was fine.
It worked, Ham. Stop looking at me like that. Jeremy in Big Spring, you're on the Cowboys postgame show.
What's going on, guys? Hey, y'all both look great, so I think a little shrimp gut, we can go ahead and take the shirts off. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
And,
this whole thing.
Hey, do you think it's just timing with all the pieces that have been in and out of the lineup, practices, resting guys? I mean, when Dak looked really good at the beginning of the season, I think it was whenever everybody was out there and everything was firing all cylinders. And nowadays with, Zeke getting fresh, offensive linemen being in and out, shuffled around, and then the wide receiver carousel, I think that has more to do with it than anything else. I'm going to hang up now, boys, and let y'all get after it.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Wait, which way am I supposed to go? This way? Oh.
I've said this before, Jake, and I don't know if you dig this or not. You can swat it to half court if you want to. I don't care. I don't think we could continue to applaud the depth on this team when they were winning and then point to it as an excuse when things aren't going well. Because that's all we kept saying early on in this 6-game winning streak when they went 6-1. Like, oh, man, it's next man up. Everyone wasn't out there, and people feel Cooper Rush came in. Dak's not there. We expect to lose, and they didn't. And we applauded the depth. And now you can't have perfect conditions every single time in the NFL. That's not going to work. You're going to have to make work what you have right there presented in front of you. And they did a really good job of that early, and now they're not doing a good job of that.
Yeah, and the problem with that is, while there's something to it, and it's all, all the pieces work together. Either side of the ball, they're machines. They all work together, and when you're missing one, it's not going to be as effective. The problem with that is, I just watched a guy last week in Derek Carr carve you up without Henry Ruggs and without Darren Waller for half a game.
Right.
Like, 36-year-old Deshaun Jackson was brought in off the street as a free agent and was able to make plays. Hunter Renfrow is a baller, but still, if that were the Cowboys, we'd be saying, well, they weren't able to get Hunter Renfrow going tonight because he was getting all the attention because they don't have Ruggs and Waller out there. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we've been saying, is that, like, well, these guys can't all be effective unless they're all out there. And that's not a good excuse. It's really not. And they deserve credit for sticking with Terrence Steele after being awful last year when he was forced into it. They stuck with him. They stuck with him through camp. They got him out there this year. But then, confusingly, they moved him to left tackle when Tyron went out and Lyle was available. I don't know. It just seems like they I hate the got too cute thing, but I feel like that's what they did up front. Dude, I understand. Very funny to play the holding on number 52 drop 5 times a show.
Right.
It's funny. I understand that he was getting beat occasionally, and I understand that Connor McGovern probably, in a vacuum, is a better player. But with hindsight, can we look at that and say, like, why did you mess with that? What was the point of that? Not only did it still leave you those 6 or 7 snaps a game, it was probably 4 or 5, but it could have been 6, 7, or 8, where McGovern can get out there as an attached tight end or as a fullback and blow somebody up. You lost that, and you break up the continuity of your offensive line in the middle of a run. For what? It's not like Connor McGovern was a first-round draft pick that you have to get on the field like there's some pressing need. He's a third-rounder that's been redshirted once and has barely been playing. I want him to play, but I don't know that the middle of a season when your offense is cooking is necessarily the best time to do it. Didn't make a ton of sense to me, and nothing they've done up front since then has made any sense to me. And in that time, their offensive line has looked average to bad.
Yes. 4 interceptions tonight for Dallas, most in a single game in franchise history since 2010 when they did that at Indianapolis, December of 2010.
Don't you feel like it's almost hard to even get excited about the 4 interceptions? Like, one of them was badass.
Yeah.
But the other 3 are kind of like, I don't know, man. There wasn't a whole lot. Like, the Watkins one was super easy. The tip ball was super easy. The Diggs one, it was just like, that's about the softest 4 interceptions I think a defense
Probably
could ever go to
yeah.
the locker room.
Carlos Watkins, his first career pick 6. They have 4
No
pick
way.
sixes. 4 pick sixes in 2021. That's the most in team history in a single season since 99. Only 1999, 95, 85, and 2021. Those teams had 4 interceptions returned for a touchdown in Dallas Cowboys history.
Joe had this one. We referenced this earlier, but they are now 4 for 10 on 4th downs in the first quarter this season alone. No other team has gone for it more than 5 times in the opening quarter.
4 of 10, huh?
4 of 10. Now, you add in tonight, they've played one more game than everybody else, but still, like after the weekend, they're probably going to be 4 or 5 ahead of the field on 4th down attempts in the first quarter, which is when there's no desperation. Like, you're doing that because that's who you are. So for better or worse, it's different. I mean, I'm obviously a fan of it, and it didn't work out in this one, but I was on board with them doing it when they did it.
So we never, ever apologize for wins in the NFL. The Saints can't go crying to anyone else because they have a lot of people out because every team is dealing with that right now. So you go on the road in a Superdome, which is loud, and you get a win. You stop a skid of losing 3 of the last 4 games. That's all good. But it's not all good because you really don't feel that good after that win because of what you saw, because it took big boy rumbling into the end zone to finally give you a little sigh of relief that this game was over. And then they tried the watermelon kick. You think Bones just itching like that should have been me. That should have been me. That's right. I want to get into some of that. So
I miss being severely down in games so I could do something insane.
They get the defensive touchdown. They get a long touchdown run from Pollard. Other than that, this offense was just kind of meh because they couldn't get the passing game going. Dak again, 26 of 40, but he's not looking like his sharp, crisp self, and it's been a long time since that happened, maybe since the shuffling of the offensive line. And up front, they haven't been playing as well as they played earlier this year. They have not opening up any running lanes. Passing lanes, I thought they did okay. He was sacked just once, and I didn't feel like he was pressured too much to where he couldn't get the throws off or he was rushed. But
the pick, but outside of that.
Was he really rushed on the pick? I thought he's just made a bad decision because they had some confusion at the line of scrimmage, and it looked like they should have called a timeout, and they didn't, and then he just tried – it was just a little impatient trying to get the ball downfield to CeeDee Lamb.
I'd have to look at it again. I mean, in general, it wasn't like he was under duress all night.
Right.
But some positives. So I thought CD looked really solid in his return.
Yeah, I did too.
You know, whether and they deserve some credit for finding ways to get him the ball, whether it was on, the little
punt
motion
return,
pop passes, the punt return, the swing out to the I don't even know what you'd call that, like a hitch basically. There was no real screen action to it, no bubble, no tunnel. It was just catch and go. So I thought that was positive because that's a different situation than Amari's. CD just had to be cleared.
What was up with Diggs with the punt return? Is that the first time we've seen that all year?
I think there may have been one more. Am I crazy?
I was saying, is that Bones trying to do something because the teacher's out?
maybe
to
that's
get
the best
Diggs out
example
there to
we
return
have.
the punt. Yeah, I thought that was the first time I've seen him out there.
So I thought Lamb looked solid. Obviously, Pollard's stats are a little bit skewed by the fact that he had a 58-yard run, but I also think even whenever the offensive line is not necessarily, holding up their end of the deal, Pollard is your better back.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that. That's a positive. Getting DeMarcus Lawrence back, him having an impact. Let's see here. early reports.
I thought Odigizua was really good and
for sure.
flashing early on, for sure.
Early reports here are 70 snaps Cowboys faced, and DeMarcus Lawrence played 37. Odigizua was awesome. He's had a little bit of a rookie wall the last few weeks, and he looked great tonight. And then, again, my God, I don't think Micah Parsons is the defensive rookie of the year. I think Micah Parsons is the defensive player of the year. And I don't understand why he's not being talked about like that more.
Yeah, I don't either.
You hear Max Crosby, you hear Myles Garrett. His sack numbers are not that far off from those guys. In fact, I think he has more than Crosby. His pressure numbers are high. Watch the game would be what I would say. If you just want to say, all right, well, sacks. How many sacks does he have? Well, I think he's probably in the top 5 now. But the reason he doesn't have as many sacks as those guys is because the other half the time he has to spend his time chasing down slot receivers or cleaning up inside runs.
Yeah, he's not on the line the whole entire time. So, yeah, the leader in sacks is Myles Garrett. He has 14. Right now, Michael Parsons has 10 after tonight. So he goes into a tie with Marcus Golden and Harold Landry III.
At 7th or 8th. Like, he's top 10.
Yeah.
He's top 10, and he's not that far off the leaders, and those guys do nothing but rush the passer. So to me, I mean, I know it's not called defensive MVP. It's somehow different, but he's the most valuable player to any defense in the league without a doubt. And he's done it in multiple positions.
All those guys ahead of him in sacks, he has more tackles than all of them.
Yeah, because he has to do
he's doing everything.
Other work.
Yeah.
I think he's the defensive player of the year right now. And through this downturn here, this 5 games that have sucked, he's been good in pretty much all of them.
Only one that seems like he's played well the entire time.
Yeah. Your second youngest player, second to only Kelvin Joseph, has by far been your most consistent player. More consistent than your veteran offensive lineman.
Right.
More consistent than your $40 million a year quarterback. More consistent than anybody on the team. It's been your rookie first-round pick, who I think should be a defensive player of the year favorite, really. You can put
Is that going to do it?
You can put that one in a promo if you want.
Oh, that was promo-worthy right there.
You'll hear that one tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen.
We're going to hear that all week next week.
They'll never listen this late in the show to cut promos. You know that right now.
They just check the first 3 things we said so they could go to bed tonight. Like,
right.
We're done with that. All right, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Ham. It's 27-17. The Cowboys are victorious over the Saints, 8-4. They now have 10 days off before their next game, and that is on the road in Washington. Washington on the 12th. That is a noon kick. We'll be here for the pregame at 9:30 and the postgame at after the game.
Well, it's just after the end of the game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When it hits
specific
000. So make sure you listen to the Muser starting tomorrow. We'll be on the road tomorrow. The Diamond Factory.
Woo!
Alpha and Omega.
Woo!
In Dallas. Come see us in person. Watch 5 key plays in person as Norm will look lovingly in your eyes and tell you the second key play. Second key play. All right. Hang Zone noon. Hardline 3. We'll just dissect, fuss, cuss, discuss all about 27-17 Cowboys. Take care of the Saints. I don't know how you do the short sleeves. It's cold in here, man. I'm putting my scarf back on as a shirt. And this is an undershirt, by the way.
This is like an Under Armour shirt to make you look even bigger.
No, it's an undershirt. What do you want me to wear? A triple